I personally, I mean, this is the one where this is the category where, as a pen tester, I really enjoy looking for stuff. This is where you really find the fun findings. Category 5 is your SQL injection and your remote code execution and XSS and SSRFs and things like that. All the things that Iman already named, which are, those are the juicy findings. Of course, no security report is complete without, your cookies aren't using such and such flag. But these are the ones that really make the clients go, wow, and are probably the most powerful as a single item. Now for ASVS, there's a lot of times where a lot of the little ones add up together and become a big deal, become a major vulnerability. But in this category, you have a single item can be damaging on its own. So pretty fun to test. Well, I think it depends what type of thing you're trying to test for. So if we use SSRF as an example, I'm always, whenever I'm testing a website, I always have my eyes open for any time that a domain is taken as input, a domain or a URL. I'm going to come up with a fake example because otherwise I'm going to end up accidentally saying something about a client. But let's say that you have some service that you want people to be able to set their own avatars from any website. So you give them an opportunity to put in a URL, and your application will go and pull the image from that URL and make it their avatar. Well, right away, I go, okay, well, this website is fetching from an external server. So I'm going to try to put in my rogue server and see what kind of information I can get out of it. And that's usually the first step. I go, okay, so it is reaching out. It's reaching out to me. I can see what kinds of things it's sending. I might get some extra information. For instance, if they're not locked to the load balancer. In other words, if they have an SSL certificate or TLS certificate to their load balancer, but they don't have one between the server and the load balancer, right? They're expecting that all the traffic comes into the load balancer. But using SSRF, sometimes you can expose the actual IP of the server, and you can try to make requests directly to it, and you can bypass web application firewalls and stuff that way. So that's the number one type of thing I look for if WAF is blocking your attempts at other injections. The other thing it can be useful for, the next thing I'll usually try is, okay, can I map the internal network? So I'll try localhost, and I'll try it the full like 256, like a subnet. So I'll try all 256 on the last, the IP range on the last byte. I'll scan that. I'll scan the ports. Now this also assumes that we can get feedback from the localhost from this SSRF endpoint. You don't always get. Sometimes it's blind. In which case there are other ways to do it. Timing-based attacks. And then, of course, if they're in a cloud infrastructure, there's the metadata instance URL. But I think a lot of those have been patched because now you need special headers to access that. It wasn't always the case. The other thing that I'll try is file URLs. See if I can access, the Etsy password file, things like that, starting with file : // That's what I'll do with SSRF. But how will I find it? I look for any input that's taken a URL. So yeah, maybe it's scraping an image. Maybe it's it allows you to configure a printer. Maybe it's there's lots of instances where it might take a URL.